There's something revealing about the modern debate over Peter in Rome. The arguments against it aren't just weak. They're weak in a very specific way. They don't arise from historical investigation so much as repetition. What many people inherit isn't a conclusion reached through evidence, but a set of reflexive objections learned as part of identity formation. This isn't primarily a historical dispute. It's an apologetic one. History versus rebuttal. Ancient history doesn't work like modern journalism. It relies on converging testimony, proximity to events, consistency across regions, and the absence of rival traditions. By those standards, Peter's presence and martyrdom in Rome are unusually well attested. Early Christian writers across the Mediterranean record it as a settled fact. Several wrote within living memory of the apostles themselves, and at least one almost certainly knew Peter personally. They don't argue for Peter in Rome. They reference it the way eyewitness-adjacent generations reference things everyone already knows. The objections are almost entirely negative. Scripture doesn't explicitly say Peter died in Rome. Acts doesn't record his death. Paul doesn't mention Peter during his imprisonment. From these silences, denial is inferred. This method collapses quickly. Acts also omits Paul's death and the destruction of Jerusalem. Silence marks the boundary of the narrative, not a denial of events. Selective skepticism. Modern denial often presents itself as critical thinking. In practice, it applies a standard of proof that isn't used anywhere else in ancient history. Figures like Socrates or Alexander are accepted on far thinner evidence, often written centuries later. No one treats silence as disproof in those cases. The bar only rises here because the implications matter. Peter in Rome isn't just a biographical detail. It challenges the claim that Roman authority is a late invention detached from apostolic memory. Once that consequence is felt, skepticism becomes selective. Formation by rebuttal. For many Protestants, the issue isn't that they've examined the evidence and rejected it. They were never taught the evidence at all. Instead, they learned, we're not Catholic because Catholics believe certain things, therefore those things must be wrong. Over time, provisional Reformation critiques hardened into slogans. Once those slogans became axioms, history stopped being explored and started being managed. Any evidence that complicates the framework must be neutralized rather than understood. Conclusion. The arguments against Peter in Rome survive not because they're strong, but because they're useful. They protect a theological framework from historical pressure. If standards used to deny Peter in Rome were applied consistently, most of ancient history would disappear. No one actually believes that conclusion. They only apply the method where the implications are uncomfortable. Once that's seen, the debate changes. The question is no longer whether Peter was in Rome. It's whether we're willing to let history speak, even when it disrupts what we were taught to repeat.